Alrighty, welcome to the June reading vlog. It's June 2nd. I've already read one of the books that I was planning on reading. As I mentioned in my May reading vlog, I am taking a break from just straight romance and romantasy, at least for probably the first 2 weeks. I'm getting back into reading, like, true crime books. What had initially gotten me really back into reading back in like 2020, 2021, around kind of that period, was Mindhunter, mainly because I was massively into Criminal Minds at that point and wanted to go into that field, so I'm reading those kinds of books again. I just finished It's Beyond the Body Farm. That's what it's called. I just finished Beyond the Body Farm by Bill something. I already got rid of it off of Kindle Unlimited. I got Kindle Unlimited this month, so I will not be reading any physical books. It'll all be Kindle Unlimited books. The next book that I'm reading is probably going to be The Anatomy of Motive by John Douglas. I've already started I've started the prologue. It is a 400-page book with only 6 chapters. All of the chapters are like 50 plus pages, and it's a little daunting. But I'm probably going to read that book next, and then I'll jump back into just kind of fluffy, fun stuff. There's a book that Carrie can read that she recommended, essentially, for like a funny fantasy, which was Thrown in the Dark? Thrown with Dark? Hold on. Thrown in the Dark, which is a series. Doesn't mean I'm going to continue to read the series. I just kind of want to read the first book because it's supposed to be kind of just fluffy fun. So that's the plan. Go Luck Yourself came out a couple of months ago at this point, and I have read the first book, which is Merry Christmas, or something along those lines. As I say it out loud, I'm just kind of like, maybe that's not what it is. But that one was super good, so I'm excited to read the second book. I'm not going to make a lot of promises this time because I made a lot of promises last time that I didn't necessarily go back on. I just added a lot of books to it. So those ones I think for sure I'm going to read. As I mentioned, I've already finished The Body Farm, or Beyond the Body Farm. Super good. Very, like, here is all of the science. There's a lot of repeating of definitions for, like, bones specifically, which I greatly appreciated because I was not going to memorize what bones meant what. So there was an explanation after each one of those bones every single time it was mentioned, which I know can be, like, frustrating for people who are part of the anthropology, like, field. But it was nice for me as somebody who's not. So, but yeah, I'm very excited for Anatomy of Motive because that is so much more about what I like reading about true crime, is about psychologically what is going on, and the first chapter was really good. I deeply enjoy John Douglas's, like, type of writing style. Deeply enjoyed Mindhunters as a child. As of, like, a barely 16-year-old. So I'm very excited to read more of his stuff. There's also, at my local bookstore, they have a bingo sheet, and if I get a bingo, I get 20% off a book. So my goal is to get a bingo. And I think I'm already on the way because one of the books is a book with science in it. And obviously Beyond the Body Farm has a ton of forensic anthropology information, as well as a lot about, like, sonar tech, DNA. It's a very good book. And what's really nice is I think it's Bill or William. I think that's the author's name. He makes it very clear when he does not know things. For example, he's not super knowledgeable about DNA. So he's kind of like, here's all the information that I have. This guy explained more to me, but I don't really understand it. So that was really nice to, like, have somebody who's an expert in a scientific field not sound condescending, is just not sound super condescending the entire time. And he was like, yeah, I might be a scientist, but this is my field. I don't do all this other stuff. But I'm going to explain it to you the best way that I can. And it was so, it's just nice to have scientific white men not talk down to their readers. Granted, I'm sure he assumes a lot of people are reading his book because they are in the forensic anthropology field or because they're interested in the forensic anthropology field. Regardless, though, he still makes sure that this is a very, like, entry-level type of reading without it seeming condescending. That's at least the way that I read it. So, yeah. I'm gonna check back in probably after I finish The Anatomy of a Motive. I do... Obviously, by the time this comes out, there will be the book and the beats for this month. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I don't know if I'm going to do stuff from May or whether I'm just going to wait until I read Thrown in the Dark and then do a book and a beat on that one. There's also A Dawn with the Wolf Knight is another book I'm thinking about reading. So I think those should only take me a couple of days, to be honest. Just because it's not as, like, mentally taxing as reading about dead bodies or murderers. So those two might be the books that I choose to do a book and a beat on this month, but I don't know. Anyways, that's what we've got so far, and I will check in at some point. Once again, probably after Anatomy of Motive. Yeah. Okay, so I'm at the, not technically end of June, but it is June 28th now. I finished Anatomy of Motive, which is really good. Not necessarily what I wanted from true crime, just because it was more about the, like, it was less about the stories and more about the, like, science, I guess, behind, like, the science and patterns of, like, bombers, serial killers, spree killers, you know, criminals. That was the focus of the book, which, not bad by any means. My Kindle Unlimited is now up, or technically it'll be up in a couple of days. I attempted to read Thrown in the Dark. I got the first chapter in. I liked it. It was really funny. I'm just so happily sitting in a slump now. That being said, I did start reading How to Get a Girlfriend When You're a Terrifying Monster, which, very short. It's 115 pages. I think it counts as not a novella. It might count as a novella, actually. And it was very interesting. I really liked the way that things were described, like the endlessness, which is essentially like a constantly reshaping and reforming, like, dimension of darkness. It was super interesting just to see how that was just, like, conveyed and described and talked about throughout the entire thing. It was dual POV. There wasn't really chapters. It was just 115 pages of the story, essentially, between the two main characters, and one of them is a creature of this endlessness. And it was just really interesting to read her perspective of being a fragment of this entity. So it was really good. Yeah, I now get to put together this video and get it out. I'm realizing now that I think I posted one video in June. Oops. But I have one other digital book that I own, which is The Cases That Haunt Us. I have that book. Then I have Dragonfall, The King Weaver, Cheers to the Wolf, don't get going, and a mystery book that I got from and a mystery book that I got from my local bookstore. I need to finish need to do a book with a slow burn. No. No. I need to read a book with a slow burn next. Because my local bookstore has a bingo going on right now, and if I get a bingo, I get 20% off the next book, so that is my goal. So I will probably read my mystery book, or I will read Tears of the Wolf, or I think frankly I can probably read any of my books. I think all of them do classify as slow burn, except maybe Dragonfall. No. So I think that's what I am going to do next. Also because The Cases at Honda's is a 500-page book, and it is more nonfiction, and I really do enjoy John Douglas's writing style. It's a lot. So what I might do is I might read 2 books at the same time as well. We'll see though, but I only have 4 physical books. So my goal, like last month, is to essentially read all physical books that I have before buying any new ones. We'll see if that's how that goes or not. But yeah, this should be the last portion of June. I don't think I'll start. I might start something else, but I'm not going to include it in this month.